Changemakers, and welcome to The Core, sponsored by Red Apple EdCo. This is your Everything Education podcast. We talk about current events, books to read. We interview education leaders, hear their stories, learn from their biggest lessons, and they share what they wish you knew about what it means to be in education today. I'm your host, Dr. Kia Turner. Buckle up for small seeds of inspiration that can lead to big changes in your classroom practice. Let's take a bite out of today's guest.
Back when you're doing everything that you know to do and are still not being given additional support and are still being held responsible for outcomes. So at this point in my education career, I'm a Hollaback teacher, okay? Because I feel like I'm at a point where I have to advocate for myself and my development needs, and you know what? You may need to do the same, okay? So bear with me because I'm also a person who enjoys just a good old jam, and I use it throughout this presentation to speak to the point that I want to make. Let's see if this works. Did it work? Look, I pushed the clicker thing.
Push it again.
Whoa, whoa. Okay. I got you. Thank you. Yep, just slide to the next one. And so, what caused me to go here is I thought about being a first-year teacher. And actually, I talked to some of you yesterday who were first years. Did you work? Let's go to the next slide. Okay, yep, stop right there. Thank you. And so the reason that I was excited being a first-year teacher is because I felt like I was finally getting my chance to make a difference. I had already worked in what I call the pre-teacher professions, right? I had worked at Boys and Girls Club. I had done like before and after schools at care. I'm the oldest of like 3 of the kids. I felt like I've been watching kids for a while. So I was excited to get the opportunity to finally be in my own classroom. Can you go to the next slide? I don't know what happened to that song. That's okay. Thank you. What I found was this. So at the top of these slides, I have quotes that stick out in my mind when I think about my education experience. Soft as medicated cotton is my first year. I worked at a school where I did not receive any professional development. So I'm fresh out of college, bright-eyed, bushy tail. We didn't have professional development, period. I was given a mentor teacher. Unfortunately, my mentor teacher believed development was coming in my room, making a list of what I was doing incorrectly in front of the kids, leaving that list for me to look at later and walking out. Okay? Wow. I took everything I learned from working at Boys and Girls Club and was like, everybody in my class needs to line up. Everybody take a seat. It wasn't at all classroom management that I didn't know. I figured out what I knew about how to plan lessons from how to engage with kids I'd worked with before. Not because I received any help with managing those lessons. Eventually, click again.
Next slide.
Did it work? I quit. That's me running away like Jackie joined the curtain. And so, that first year, I worked at 2 different buildings. The first one had absolutely no professional development. I'm fresh out of college, didn't know what to do. The second one, honey, I went to a school where they said, you don't need to try to teach the kids. You read from a book every day and have them write down a summary of what you said. I was teaching reading. Okay, so I'm like, what, 23. Teaching reading, they're like, you don't gotta do that. Read and have them write a 1-paragraph summary. Your goal is to keep them in the seat. And that's what I was told by my mentor in that building, which also didn't have professional development. So I had a hearing. I decided that we needed to talk about community issues and have my kids talk about gangs in Kansas City. It was a big thing. Tookie Williams was on death row at the time. I've always been a teacher who talked about current events, popular culture, tried to weave it in. Did I tell you I was secondary? That's what I did. I had a parent say, why are you talking about this? My son is soft as medicated cotton in here, and you got him talking about gangs and stuff and looking around his neighborhood. He had need to learn about that. And I thought, I'm soft as medicated cotton too, ma'am. I got to teach you a child, and I don't have any help either. So year 1 left me with a few takeaways. Number 1, teachers need professional development because it helps them I was not my most effective self because I didn't know what the hell it was. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing. I wanted to make a difference. I didn't know how. Number two, I found my style my first year. I've always been like this. So my class was fun, it was engaging, I don't know what they were learning. But we had a good time and got to know each other, and I was really good at building relationships. That's what I knew how to do.
Right.
And then number three, parents actually care. They really do. They hold their kids to a standard, even if it looks different. Can I tell you, and this is the other thing that I think about my first year, I had a mother come up, run her son up against the wall, and smack the taste out that boy's mouth because he had been skipping school and cutting up in my class. Now, I was like, clearly I probably should walk away at this point. But I realized too, she didn't know how to help him either. She was just trying to make sure that he graduated. And that's what I wanted to do as well. Okay, let's do the next slide. So after I quit, I took a year off. I came back to it, and I did some of the best work I've ever done. And here's why I thought about it. Level 1 teacher development. It's just the basics for you to get in and persist. Cooperative learning structure. Can you please learn how to manage class? Teachers need to know how to manage classrooms. How to get kids working together. It's not group work, with a strategy to it. If you've never seen the strategy, though, you don't know. You have no idea. I finally learned that, and I was like, okay. Formal and informal evaluations. I was finally at a school where other teachers would walk in and be like, oh, Kia, that was really great. Or, oh, Kia, can you talk to me about what was happening with that lesson? And I got feedback that was constructive that I could use. Peer observations. My principal actually came in and would sit down with me on these informal evaluations too. And then curriculum training. So I went and I learned how to write curriculum. I learned how to do that because I didn't know what else to do. Okay, I went back to school to get trained in curriculum and instruction so that I could better deliver lessons, and it changed the way that I designed them forever. I know everybody can't do that, but teachers need help with lesson design, and that's just the truth. Prepackaged lessons aren't the way to go. You gotta teach teachers how to get in there and learn how to understand the content for themselves. Finally, like I said, relationships were my biggest thing ever. I've always been good at that, and so I managed to leverage those to help kids learn finally. Click again. Okay, so this has a whole lot of clicking. Click one more time. These are my kids, right? Some of them. Click again. Yeah. Stop. Okay. Normally you hear a Superfly song, but we just got to work with what we got. Okay. I finally learned how to connect with my kids in a meaningful way. They set up this Instagram account for me, right? When they were in the 8th grade this year, like, Miss Turner, this is our class. I used to put their assignments on there. They could post homework and send it to me, and it was great. I finally made some teacher friends. I didn't know you needed friends to do this job, but you can't do it alone. You really can't. You have got to have a network of people that are going to build you up and someday break you right on down. Can you read? Can you say that again? And then I learned how to incorporate technology. My district used to pay teachers to come after school and learn about, I don't know if y'all know this, PB Works is what it used to be called, PB Wiki. And it was just a way to flip the classroom. We had this computer trainer who was real passionate about it, so I went to all the sessions and I started flipping mine. So up there is me literally reading Romeo and Juliet to my students and then posting it online so that if they missed class, so that if they missed class, they were able to keep up. Doing these kinds of things made you feel like, oh, snap. I'm like super teacher out here. It's a cake behind me. It's a Beyonce fan blowing on me when I walk into the building. I thought I had it until that happened. I have always worked in Chinese school. One of my students I used to have to call every single day to get him to come, talk to his mom. All kinds of stuff was happening. He came up to me and said, Jessica, come home pregnant. So I'm dropping out. I got all F. He really did. He showed me his grade card, 1C, that was me. You're the only reason I came to school. I didn't have anything in my tool bag to help him. Does that make sense? And that hurt. That hit me really hard. Because here I am doing all my teacher stuff. How do I end up with a kid who's dropping out? We go into the same PD. Me and all of my teacher friends, the rest of the staff, why aren't these interventions enough? And I couldn't think of what to say to get them to stay, and the boy walked right out the door. So I decided to go and develop myself. I started going to educator meetups. They have this thing in Kansas City called the Lean Lab Education, where teachers get together once a month, and we talk about problems of practice, we get solutions, we get resources. I got on Twitter. On Twitter is where I found people talking about the same kind of stuff I was talking about and offering solutions I hadn't even thought of. I also started going to Ed Camp. Educator Alexander, shout out. Okay, so it was one of the best I've been to, okay, and I found out that that was a place where I could just say, hey, I don't know what else to do. I'm teaching my guts out, I'm calling parents, I'm building kids up, and they're still leaving. What else can I do? Finding these kinds of resources made all the difference to me. I also added great school visits up there, because sometimes you gotta get out of your comfort zone. I went to see other schools, not in my district, y'all. Other places, just 2 hours away, an hour away, just in the suburbs, because I live and work in the city. But just somewhere different to find out how else to get this work done. And when I tell you, choosing to develop myself changed my educational life, that's exactly what happened. And that's what I'm talking to you about today in my session. You don't have to wait for somebody else to give you permission to be great. You go ahead and you seek out the opportunities that you need, and the doors are going to open. You are responsible for developing community. You don't got to wait for somebody to get on board that train, honey. You start driving. People going to catch up. They will. They're going to catch right on up when they see that you are doing something differently and getting a result that they did not expect. You going out there and find out what's new and what's happening and use it in your room. You're the most powerful seat in the education system as a classroom teacher, period. You are driving the future. Now go ahead and make sure that you done took some new lessons. Do. So, this also happened. So I go and I develop myself. I still feel like I'm doing great. I had these two things. I have to read to pass the driver's test. That's why I can't get no license. What the whole? What? This student, 12th grade. You in the 12th grade and you can't read? I knew that the child struggled, but you could not. Didn't have a license driving, Berg, and I don't know if you say that either. Okay, just out here, trying not to get arrested. Can't read, so I can't pass the test. 9th grade. It's too late for me, Miss Turner. I'm going to jail. It's too late. I'm like, come on, we can help you. We got to figure this out. You just come on to school. Let me talk to your mama. Why wasn't you in school yesterday? Let's figure this out. It's too late. It's too late for me. And didn't he go right to dad off jail? Okay. So, my point is, there's still work to do. Things that I'm still working on. Differentiation, wraparound support, SEL help, reading interventions, math interventions. It's not enough to get out of your community and to expose yourself. You got to bring back a set of skills you can use, because both of those students needed these things, and I still wasn't equipped to provide them. Which lets me know that being an educator means I've got to be a forever learner. I'm never going to have all the answers. Every day on time I run into something like that. I'm like, dadgummit, what could I have used to help you? What did you need that I didn't know you needed? And I take that and I go find it, so the next time I run into that child again in a different form, I'm able to help. And that's what I'm telling you. There is still work that needs to be done. Don't feel like because you got your bachelor's, master's, specialist, doctorate, you done learned all there is to know, you done been in the game a long time. You are always able to push the envelope as an educator, and you have a responsibility to do that. Because the kids are changing, the times are changing, which means we can't stay stagnant. You need to be a Hollaback teacher. If you need some support, Hollaback. I don't know how you need me to get that done, but if you give me some resources, then I'll go ahead and use them. Hollaback, you asked me to do a whole bunch of stuff. Can you tell me what that's going to look like? Can you send me to this conference? Can you give me these strong 2 days off so I can go ahead and look great? You can go ahead and advocate for yourself so that you can be the educator that you set out in your first year to be. And that's my goal for you. Thank you.
That's all we have for today. Thank you for listening to The Core. Wherever you are listening to us, be sure to like our show, subscribe, and share the episode that's meant the most to you. We appreciate every single one of our subscribers, as do our sponsors. We look forward to seeing you next week. You can also check us out on YouTube at Red Apple Edco if you'd like to see more video of these conversations. We have them posted there.